You know it's big villainous, and it's time for story time. Crooked undercover cops pointing a banger at us, junkyard fires, and a broken down car when we come right back. Through the crease and the cracks of the streets, struggling for some food and a bed to sleep, while trying to cause overthrow. I'm feeling weak, ideology buff. So the story starts with me in Seattle. I had to buy a vehicle, you know what I mean? Because I hadn't had a vehicle in years, literally. It was a Duster vehicle. Dusters are people who are big into Mad Max, so they decorate their vehicles to look like they're in a Mad Max fight. When I show up to get it, right, it's this truck. It has all this fake rust on it, so it looks like a straight bucket. It wasn't really that bad. You know what I mean? All the rust was actually like cinnamon and shit. You know what I mean? Cinnamon and sugar to make it look rusty and all tore back. It had designs and everything on it. I was like, okay, this is kind of punk rock, but I fuck with it, you know what I mean? So I had to go across the sound to get it, and go and cop it for $1,300. Feels like a steal. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it wasn't a steal, but you'll see what happened as time went on. I head down to Olympia, and at that time I was actually staying in Lacey at a comrade's house for like about a week to prepare for this workshop that basically the Fight Toxic Prison Workshop. Well, basically we tell people about how we shut down prisons. Also, we talk about the prison history, specifically my part, about how slavery evolved into the prison industrial complex and how it was a direct evolution. And, that time I realized we might have a little bit of problem because I just realized how janky the setup was. I had a little speaker, but then when we were trying to get to work, the shit would not work. Like, the speaker would not attach to my phone as long as I was on Zoom. It was so frustrating, no cap. But we made it work. There was about 10 people that showed up as fire. You know what I mean? They all really felt like they got something from it, and it was really good to network with people. And the day before I also had a workshop about whiteness and the history of whiteness, which had a lot of people show up and was super fire as well. But it was at a different park. Well, the park I was at was like a really good park to be leaving Seattle, you know what I mean? Because hello, darkness, my old friend. It had all the elements of Seattle that I loved, right? The things about Washington, the green, the forest, the water, the clean air, the shit that made Washington what it's worth, right? Instead of the gentrifiers and all the people who push us out. So I was hanging out with my friend while I was down there after the workshop and, just took some time to go see this beautiful ass lake, breathe in this clean ass air and to say goodbye to my state. I'm not gonna lie, I never wanted to live in another place permanently besides Washington. However, Washington has been so gentrified, there's not really that point in continuing to try to hold on to it. And I felt like I could do better work out on the road. And I was very correct about that. After workshops wrapped up, I packed all my things up to the back of this truck and decided to hit the road. First stop on the list, of course, Portland, PDX, where I was gonna meet with my friend Dasha. Like all roads, the roads are treacherous because there's always bad drivers somewhere. And now this time I'm headed to PDX, hitting the road, almost got in a car accident, but it's okay. Despite me being pretty new to driving, well, I used to drive a lot as a kid, but not so much the last decade. So I was like, you guys can't drive. What's wrong with y'all? I did not know what I was in store for real before I got to the South, but we'll get to that at a later time. But so I touched down in PDX, and my friend who I was gonna stay with, Dasha, wasn't quite ready to host me. So what we did is another comrade had a friend that was able to put me up for a night while my friend Dasha got back into town. So I pull up at this little spot, and I'm like always sketched out to go to a new spot because I'm like, wait, ain't nobody here or nothing. There's a key under the mat waiting for me, so I grab the key, go in. It's a chill little spot. I'm a little sketched out always because I'm always like, am I gonna rock into the wrong house so I got the wrong address? But it was cool. Went to the bar, got little drinks, and man, they were cheap compared to Seattle. Oh my God. And I always forget there's no taxes in Portland. That is a W. So I had a few drinks and just called it a night, rolled up a little blunt. Next day, I'm setting up time to meet up with Dasha, get all my stuff, and I pull up to the apartment, and it's these nice ass little condos, but the problem is there's never no parking. So Dasha comes down and greets me, we take all my stuff up, and then we, had to go get something to eat real quick like. So they're showing me around Portland, there's some 5 little restaurants. I know everybody thinks Northwest is connected like that. I know it's only 3 hours apart, but people don't really travel between Portland and Seattle like that. It's just not how it functions. But we start plotting and planning this workshop that we end up having at the park next to their apartments. But we have to do a lot of outreach. So they outreach to their friends, but there's also a resource fair that was coming up that was like a radical, anarchist, socialist, communist resource fair at a different park. So we made sure to take our time to head on down there. As we're there, I meet some dope ass organizers.
My friend who's connected to organizing community in Portland was there with a group I am a part of, PDX Disability Support, and we had some of our flyers out, and different other organizers were there.
Fight for disability justice, as well as there were some folks working the needle exchange table, which they're always doing important work. And they started talking to me about the epidemic that has been happening, specifically with like opiates and stuff being laced with fentanyl. Chopping up about how very familiar I was with that, because I've been in crisis in Seattle as well, with even things like coke being laced with fentanyl, and ended up causing ODs because people were getting dirty batches. So we chopped it up, exchanged Instagrams, and said let's build in the future, you know what I mean? You're doing well out there with Portland Needle Exchange. Y'all doing firework. I appreciate y'all. Also, Food Not Bombs were there, so we chopped it up. You know, they're out there doing their thing. I love it when anarchists feed other anarchists and also feed the houseless and also feed the community. You know what it is, because we put in that work and nobody ever recognizes it. But, you know, I always appreciate Food Not Bombs because they're doing dope shit. So all these organizations just hovering around, including some I've never heard of before. And so I connect with many people as I can. Well, a couple days later, we have the workshop. And so, I don't know, I remember being like 10 to 20 people, and I felt like it was a good amount of people that showed up to the event actually. I had an issue with the sound. I tried a different setup, and that still didn't work. So what we did to make it work is we Jimmy rigged it. So we were Zooming at the same time. So what people did is they all tuned into the Zoom, so when the people who were calling in, that people could actually hear. Now it was kind of janky because you had all these cell phones going off at the same time. I had this like ambient voice of Richie, this ambient voice of Jordan. And I was like, oh my God, this is a fool. But we made it work. People heard it, people understood it, people learned a lot. A lot of people signed up for the email list, connected, and it was dope to connect with organizers in Portland because, you know, we need the Northwest to unite, you know what I mean? We need to keep the fascists from showing up and, you know, make an autonomous zone for all peoples of all different genders and races and everything, because you know, that's one of those places that are going to turn out good at maybe in the upcoming climate change, but I don't know, because, you know, we do get smoked out with little fires now that never used to happen. The next day we went to hang out, we went to the park. There was a beautiful ass festival rocking in the park, so we went to listen to music, kiddos and people, got some free food, chopped it up with other organizers that were making shit happen, that were not only at the uprisings before, we're out there still providing mutual aid to folks who need resources, needed food, needed water, needed things to get by if they were houseless. And so I appreciate that work still being done, because a lot of places I really retract a lot of support once COVID hit. Now, don't get me wrong, the Northwest was very prudish about mutual aid when COVID hit in general, and it really disappointed me. And I'll be real, the country, some folks were still putting in that work. A lot of people who are at the bottom, of course, people who actually go through and know what it's like, are the ones who don't stop when shit gets real. Because we know we live there, we've been houseless, we've been not been able to feed ourselves, we've had all those situations happen, so we can really relate to that. Versus people who have a lot more privilege can like seclude themselves in their houses, you know what I mean? But after me and Dasha enjoyed some of the folk music,
where I can safely meander through all the little corners.
I got to meet their friend, got to introduce myself a little bit, get to know them a tiny bit, and then I was like, okay, I enjoyed the folk music for a minute, but it ain't really my vibe, so I'm gonna go ahead and head on out. And so I headed back to their house, caught a nice sleep, and then the next day it was time to head out. You know, this is where shit starts to go left, where shit gets a little bit weird. So I wasn't really that excited to drive over these motherfucking mountains. I gotta tell you the goddamn truth. Because I'm like, man, if we crash here and I go off the edge, I'm going off a cliff, we gonna die. But I'm not even trying to play that game. This shit's whack. I don't like it. Not at all. But I'm like, damn, I guess we just gotta get over these mountains to get to Cali. It's how it is. My ass is still not accustomed to driving again. It's been so long, I'm super rusty. So I'm trying to stay in the right lane behind these semis and just take my time. So if anybody gotta get hit by anything, the semi hits them first. There's this cat who just kept like cutting me off and doing random shit, because I did change lanes a couple times, right? And they kept cutting me off and driving wild. I'm like, oh my God, this is a fool. Tell me why down the road we all have to slam on our motherfucking brakes, because this fool had a whole bunch of bikes on the back that, because of his reckless driving, spilled all over the highway. Like, we all almost had to pile up on the fucking mountain. This is the first thing that happens, me driving long distance? Damn, this is not a good omen. Now, of course, a lot of the drive is beautiful. The scenery is amazing. I'm not gonna lie, it's like a beautiful view and everything. But the mountains be hard on vehicles. Bet you can guess what happens. Well, I'm heading close to Grants Pass. Last time I left the state, when I was riding with Chosen Family, Grants Pass is where her vehicle broke down. Well, I'm flying up towards Grants Pass, and then all of a sudden, my vehicle doesn't want to accelerate. It keeps losing energy. Get back to normal, and it loses energy. And I'm like, oh, hell no, I just got this. You can't do this to me. So I pull up in the Grants Pass. I end up having to get a hotel because there's no mechanics open. I'm freaking out, not knowing what the hell's going on. So I'm like, all right, telly time. The problem is, every hotel, even the cheap ones, were like $200 or $300. Except for one place, there was one of the more bougie places, the Red Lion Inn, which was like 160. I end up getting a hotel there, talk to this lady who works there who knows a little bit about cars, and she comes and hooks up the little thing that measures what's going on with your car. And according to that, it says the spark plugs, which I'm like, okay, it's not that big of a deal. It should be an affordable repair. So me and her are chopping it up. I start talking to her about how I'm on this prison abolition tour and how I'm going around giving workshops about how to stop prisons and why they're fucked up. Well, then she confides in me that she's an ex-con and did hella time. And so we start vibing a little bit, we just chilling, chopping it up, just like homie vibe. Well, she offers to help me go get some food because I'm hungry as fuck, haven't ate all day. And I hop in her car and she's driving like some Corvette or something. My God, I thought I was gonna die. So she's driving through these mountains that are motherfucking pitch black because we have to go to the next exit over to get some food. 3-4 miles away. So it doesn't seem like it's gonna be that big of a deal, right? She hops on the entrance and talks about how she likes to speed. It's pitch black. She going like 140. I'm like, oh my God, I'm dying. But luckily we got the food, got back fine. But even going back, I'm just stressing. She's like, I love the speed. I'm like, oh God, hot shit. I'm like, we about to fall off these cliffs. It's about to be over. Well, nah, we end up being good. Pull up in the hotel. I get some sleep, and I really couldn't get a mechanic the next day for like a week out. Like, they were full up. So the only thing I could do is drive over to like, I think it's called Medford or something like that. So I drive over there and I go to get my car repaired. Now I just take it to a Titus or whatever and, get the spark plugs changed. Not a big deal, not stressed out. Waiting for my car to get finished because they're taking a mighty long time on it, to be honest with you. And I see the smoke billowing from a couple lots over. I'm like, what? So I go inside, I'm like, yo, are they supposed to be like burning stuff over there? There's a lot of smoke. And they came out and everybody started freaking out, like, oh my God, there's a big ass fire. So apparently I'm the first person to notice this tire fire that was happening in this junkyard. And so they were able to get the fire department over there to like put out the fire. But like if I wasn't out there, bro, that shit would have spread like a motherfucker. She was dry too. Oh boy. They finally finish up the vehicle and I take off back through these goddamn mountains because I'm in the mountains right now. You know what I mean? You don't get out the mountains to Cali. But I think I should walk a little bit. We only have one slim chance of making it through this. Like, comment, subscribe. But if you want to give us the upper hand, though, buy the album House of Usher or become a Patreon at Big Villainous.
All money is blood money. Cotton picking presidents hand bloody. All money is blood money. War for the gold, even children running. All money is blood money. Papa wicked murder, we find it funny. All money is blood.
And then I make it through the motherfucking mountains. And I'm like, I made it in one piece. I thought I was gonna come through like the Headless Horseman to LA. But I guess I ain't to LA yet. So maybe I gotta watch what I say. So I take the long ass drive to Cali. And Cali's long, if you don't know, it's the longest state in the fucking country. Well, I don't know, Texas gets around for money, but I still think it's the longest state in the country. Some hours of driving, couple close calls, and I made it to Sacramento. Now, Sacramento, when I roll up in there, I'm like, oh my God, anxiety attack. Because they drive wild as hell. They're all like racing and shit. I'm like, oh my God, what y'all doing? Y'all trying to die? You trying to die out here? And I'm like, oh yeah, it's Cali, of course they are. They don't care. They don't give no shits about that. I try to snatch up the Super 8 real quick, and hoping it's gonna be a nice one. And I get there and I'm like, dog, this is the projects. They wanted a $100 deposit too. $100 down on something that looked like a fucking prison damn near. The fuck? But I go in there and catch some sleep. The whole hallway smells like weed, but I don't got none, so I'm feeling brittle. I was like, who can be the plug? Ain't nobody answering. So it is what it is. I catch some Z's, I wake up, and then the whole fucking place is covered in smoke. Not the Super 8, I'm talking about California. All of California's covered in smoke. Well, the problem is, with the truck I have, there is no AC. It's like 100 degrees, and I need to keep my windows down to just survive. I'm like, all right, fuck it, we're just gonna do it. It's burning, hot out, keep the windows down. But not only that, my phone starts overheating. Now this is GPS, so that means the GPS shuts the fuck down and goes off the cool off mode till however long. And so I had to stop at a rest stop freaking out, covered in smoke, hacking up black shit. Like goddamn, thank you rich people for climate change.
We really appreciate that, guys.
So I keep pushing as soon as my phone cools down, which took about an hour at the rest stop, and putting it in with cold sodas and shit. Like it's damn near like I'm trying to save a life, bro. Yeah, I put it in the bathtub of ice because the fever's too high. Well, I saved my phone's life. It happened. It survived that fever that was caused by the hot temperature and the smoke. And I take the long rest of the drive to LA. Pulling into LA was a straight up anxiety attack. Bro, y'all motherfuckers drive crazy, fast, and the freeways got like 12 lanes and shit. I don't think I'm gonna make it. I'm going through these mountains like, oh God. But then I make it to LA. I pull up, and the comrade took me up with a place to stay at this person Addie's house. When I met up with her, she's dope as fuck. We talking, chopping it up, but it was like a secured spot. So my car can only leave like once a day because like apparently they can only use the car to get in and out one time a day. And that's if they don't have to work. So I just come to terms with I'm gonna be on foot. But luckily, there's a whole shit ton of these little scooters. You know, the ones that are using the gentrifier neighborhoods? Yeah, those. Well, fuck it. I'm in LA, I'm doing it. And I was using the scooters to get around downtown because I'm in downtown LA and so that shit's hectic. I wanted to do more things. I went out to Hollywood to try to find No Jumper Studio, but apparently they have moved and now Flora the rapper owns a little like clothing store there. And so that was a waste of time. Ended up running to this weed spot where you can take dabs inside, so I made sure to go get some dabs real quick and then I started getting nauseous. Now, mind you, the Delta variant is everywhere. So I was like, oh, I'm a dumbass. I should never took those dabs. I lost my mind. I probably got COVID right now. Literally just freaking out for no reason, because of course I did not have COVID. I literally had just got vaccinated. They cleaned all their gear thoroughly, but you know that weed paranoia kicked in. So I'm on this bus just bugging. I had this little white dudes mug me. I'm like, what the fuck you looking at, dude? Like dude looks like straight Nazi. Chest popped up like, bro. That type of bullshit. And you know, I'm like, dog, what the fuck you looking at, midget ass nigga? Like, I don't know if y'all can tell, but I'm actually 6'2" and I'm a big ass nigga. Like, I'm big. I'm not small. I know some motherfuckers think I'm short on here. I'm not. But at the same time, I don't really want no smoke because I'm high as hell, feeling nauseous as fuck, trying to wait on this damn bus. Now, I had to use a bathroom. And I don't know if you know about Hollywood, but it's ridiculously expensive. And they will not let you use the bathroom without buying something. So I bought a water that cost $5 and came in a fucking milk carton. Yes, I said it, a fucking milk carton. The type of shit y'all motherfuckers on, bruh. All that to just drop a deuce real quick, like hop back on the bus and go back to Addie's house and then pass the fuck out because I was way too high. So the time I'm there, I pretty much walk around downtown LA, peep some things, buy some food, and then I find this little speaker system that was gonna be perfect. So I buy that, throw in the back of the truck because I didn't want to have the problems we have been having with the sound again. The whole time we've been plotting to have the event at this park, but then we have to make a last minute move on it because the park is apparently closed. So we go to this park in front of the courthouse instead. Well, the day of the event, oh my God, that was a bad decision because they have the whole road on both sides shut down, vehicles everywhere just parked, like what the fuck, because it's a movie set now. We are luckily still able to use the park, however.
Dick was doing a workshop at in downtown LA at the park, and they had some movie studio had some big production going on right next to it. They were like blowing up cars and shit. They had all the roads blocked off. It was like right when COVID stuff was reopening, like things were reopening after COVID lockdowns and stuff in LA.
So every time there's an explosion, we take a little break from talking, let the explosions happen, and then get back to the conversation. There was 15 to 20 people who showed up, including the comrade who invited me down there in the first place and who found me the spot to stay at. Goddamn white people be all up in the business, I'm not gonna fucking lie. I think I scared them because I said comrade. It starts to calm down. So we go full force with the workshop. And we get through it. People learn a lot, they appreciate it. We had some folks, organizers coming from different parts of LA to show up and chop it up, and it was dope. We're sitting around talking afterwards, and this woman runs into the park asking for help, and she's being chased by a man with a banger. This man, when we like start protecting her, and like you're not gonna just take her, starts pointing the gun at people.
Stay over here! Stay over here, please! This man has a gun!
Spinning it around, flashing it, waving it around, trying to get us to let him just take her, and we're like, oh, hell no. Well, then eventually the piggies show up, and then you know me, I'm like, who called the pigs? Bro, we gotta handle this nigga ourselves. Fuck the pigs. Well, apparently, he called the pigs. There were motherfuckers starting to tell, though, which I don't condone that, even in extreme situations. However, it just blew up in people's face when we found out that bastard was an undercover cop. And of course, the lady ends up getting arrested, despite this dude being reckless with his firearm and pointing at a whole bunch of activists for no other reason but not allowing him to snatch somebody up while he's in plain clothes. And honestly, if it's me, I probably wouldn't let you do it even if you're in uniform. And then people start having a real serious altercation with these fucking police and arguments and beefing and stuff as they took this lady away and don't feel any type of accountability necessary for the fact that their undercover officer, put a whole group of people at risk for no reason. He was under no threat. But then again, what do we really expect from 12? Because you know how they be. I mean, y'all ran up and said straight up that it was your people. So your people come up in plain clothes, pull guns on a crowd of people, specifically women. Like, what's up with that? Is that what LAP?
She's a suspect, the one that we have in custody.
But you pulled a gun.
She's a fucking
firearm.
So okay, so even at that, right? You pulled a gun on a group of women, including her. Okay, you're accountable though for the people you associate with and the people you work with and the people you back up. That's what you're accountable for, right? And what happened was he pulled a strap on a group of women over what you said, a burglary. So you think property is worth risking killing people because that gun went off by accident on anybody, someone would have been dead. Well, afterwards, the shit ends up de-escalating. Unfortunately, the lady goes to jail and we couldn't really do anything to help her. We go back to his apartment, decompress, talk about what's going on and what happened and how we're disappointed about how that shit went and how we weren't able to de-arrest her or protect her from the police terrorism. Afterward, to play some games, some video games and shit, and really just start to relate to each other and like decompress everything. Finding ways to find joy after what a lot of folks felt was a traumatic situation. For me, I'm just like, I just want to fuck the nigga up, man. I just want to beat his ass. I'm not even playing, man. Pull guns on motherfuckers, you get your jaw rocked. I'm gonna be a bug. And I know I can't fight a gun, but if I can catch that nigga slipping, bruh, I will do it. I couldn't, so that's why he didn't get slapped. I couldn't get close enough. He would have kept putting a gun at me, and I'm not stupid. Don't get it wrong, I will knock out a nigga with a gun, but I know when I can do it and when I can't. And that was one of those times I was too far away. There's no way in hell that was gonna happen. Also, if you want to try to intervene in a situation like that, you must realize when you are making it worse or when you're making it better. And if you're not gonna make it better, you're gonna make it worse, just don't do it. As much as you might want to, as much as we hate them fucking swine, just don't do it. But if you can, the rest of the night was pretty decent. Us chopping up with each other, was able to take away a lot of that stress that was caused by that situation. A down slope to what would have been a good night. And I hope that sister's out. I hope she's free. You know what I mean? I don't want to sleep on her struggle because she definitely had a bad night herself. Jail sucks. Prison sucks. No joke. The next day, I had planned on heading out. But the thing is, I have to drive through Arizona to get to New Mexico. And I was going to stop to see my aunt in Arizona, but it was just too hot. It was 121 degrees in Arizona. So I was like, oh, hell no. I looked it up on the internet, and apparently that's hot enough to burst your fucking tires. So obviously, I can't just go in the day like that because my tires will probably burst with that long ass fucking drive. Well, what I do is I say goodbye to everybody, and that night I drive through the night. Windows down and everything because it's 100 degrees at night driving to Arizona and through Arizona. Like, it was bad. And to have no AC is brutal. So I'm driving all the way through that night, and the sun comes up and I'm still driving because New Mexico is not close to LA, I'm sorry. I pull up in the Flagstaff to get some gas, and I hear a thump, 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 thump. And I realize I'm having some very big car problems. So I gotta take it to a mechanic. But to find out the results, you gotta come back for the next story time. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, hit that bell so you can stay notified. Follow me at Big Villains on all the socials, including Patreon and Instagram, also Bandcamp. Leave a comment in the comment section and let me know if you had any crazy experiences on road trips. I hope to see y'all at part 2. Deuces.
Big shout out to all my Patreons. Y'all the ones that make this possible. For all the new viewers that wondering how to become a Patreon, well, you head over to Big Villains at Patreon. And we even have a new $2 tier to make it affordable for everybody. What that grants you is access to the private Discord, archive content, and bonus content. And you will be able to see all the footage from LA that you didn't get to see, as well as the full interviews from M and Dasha. So I hope to see y'all at the Patreon. If you can't afford it, just throw a like, a comment, and a share. Alright, we out.
Reappropriate, leave you dead, we felt better. You illiterate, the struggle, we the Rosetta. We the one stone eyes turning redder. Class war, rewrite, lose your header. Fetch a green plant, see death, white leather. All money is blood money. Cotton picking presidents, hand bloody. All money is blood money. War for the gold, leaving children running.